article was written for women and girls, but I think the principle applies to all of us, especially those in pastoral ministry. Anne writes that her preteen daughter, Hope, sat down at the foot of her bed in a heap. Hope was heartbroken. Anne doesn't tell us what happened to Hope, but the context reveals she probably received harsh words from a peer. People are always comparing themselves with one another, and the same is true for a 12-year-old girl. In this insecure moment, the young lady looks to her mother for wisdom, and Anne offers what she calls the measuring stick principle. She says to her daughter, there will always be people who see everything in the world as a measuring stick of their worthiness, instead of a burning bush of God's gloriousness. Anne explains, if your life looks like a mess, to them, they whip out a measuring stick and feel confident of their own worthiness. If your life looks like a monument, to them, they whip out a measuring stick and start cutting you down for their own empowerment. The thing is, she writes, the world isn't a forest of measuring sticks. The world is a forest of burning bushes. Everything isn't a marker to make you feel behind or ahead. She says everything is a flame to make you see God is here. Hope asks her mother, why does anybody compare at all? Why do we do it? Why do I do it? In response, Anne reminds her daughter of her childhood. She says, remember when you guys were little, and I'd have a couple of measuring sticks out when I was piecing together a quilt? What would you guys do with the measuring sticks? Now let me pause right here and ask you, when you were little, if your friends or your siblings found a bunch of sticks like this, what would you do with them? I picture Hope smirking as she says, we used them as swords. Then Anne directs her words to her reader. She writes to us, measuring sticks always become weapons. I want to tell Hope and every woman browsing through a fashion magazine, standing on a scale, scrolling through Pinterest, clicking through blogs, looking in a mirror, every yardstick always becomes a billy stick. Measuring sticks try to rank some people as big and some people as small, but we aren't sizes. We are souls. You can't measure souls. And the moment you try to measure souls, you try to usurp God. And ain't nobody needs reminding of who it was that tried to usurp God. Measuring people is always devilish work. And carrying around a measuring stick is a bit like carrying around a pitchfork. My friends, today, I want to take you to the last story in John's Gospel. It's very short, but it's crammed with truth. Now, often when we think of truth, we think doctrine, and to be sure, doctrine is truth. However, the kind of truth we'll encounter at the end of John's Gospel is a little more down to earth than most doctrine, though it's equally true. It's a truth about how life works, at least how life's supposed to work. It's a truth about how life looks for the person who experiences what Jesus calls abundant life. And the story we'll read also exposes why so many of us are so miserable right now. Here's the principle I want to teach you today. Simply, live your life, not somebody else's. Let me tell you the backstory.